This program will be live on YouTube also. I'll be sharing the YouTube link for everybody to follow as well. Zoom has a limitation of about 100 guests in all. So once that crosses, people may go to a YouTube link, or if you prefer not to speak, you can just follow it on YouTube link as well. Hari Om. Namaste. Namaste, Ma.
Namaste. How are you?
Namaste.
Namaste, sir. Namaste, Adya.
Namaste.
We have 7 minutes to start. I have also shared the YouTube link in the Hamsa Ashram group as well, so people can join via YouTube as well.
So you can upload it in the YouTube after today's function.
Yes,
So
it
that
will be uploaded in the YouTube as well.
I can leisurely. I am eagerly awaiting, like all others, other Guru Bandhus.
Namaskar, namaskar to everybody.
Namaste, Ji.
Namaste, namaste.
Ji Om.
Hari Om. What
Awesome.
really, really, this is beautiful.
All Guru's grace, madam.
All
Yes.
Guru's grace and your support and Kailashji's support, and thank you so much. And of course, Krishna.
Yeah. That is the real truth.
Yes.
We have
Madam,
6 more minutes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Madam,
Yes.
in between, you also request the audience to mute
Yes.
their self, because some people will come late and join.
Yes.
They join late, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So
Kailashji will just announce in the beginning only.
I will.
Kailashji?
I will do that as well. Yes.
No,
Yes.
but still
Yes.
our experience,
Yes.
we have to announce one. When you start your talk, you announce one. I will also announce once.
Yes,
Kailashji
that's
will
right. That's right. That's right. What a delightful occasion. Remember, Padaki ji, I told you I don't know if I can finish it, and you all done that.
You wanted the blue color.
I got exactly the same.
And she brought this with a blue color wrapper. Madam, I will not be telling anything much about you except one or two sentences. You have to tell. You have to tell about yourself. Kailashji, how much time is there?
Another 5 minutes, sir.
Then I don't know. First time I'm feeling very nervous. What to talk, what not.
Oh, I was muted. I didn't realize that.
Really. Namaste. Really, I don't know what to talk, what I should not talk. I don't know. Gurudev is there behind me, inside me, but still, that feeling, unlike Vivek Chudamani classes, today is something new experience to me.
Nothing is new. You are an expert. In fact, you make me nervous.
No. I have told Kailashji also that talking on Bhagavad Gita, मेरे बस की बात नहीं है, madam.
Nobody is going to talk of Bhagavad Gita. I'm a student. I'm just going to share my experiences. There are a lot of Gyanis sitting here, so. Yeah,
that is there. Kailashji wanted me to say something about the book. I said, I cannot speak about the book. Madam will take over. I will hand over later to her and she will speak her experience.
My predicament is I am caught between all the luminaries. I don't know why I am there. A speck of dust caught between the luminaries.
In fact, you are the one who mooted it and roped us all in.
Lord Krishna's words only used by others in the Mahabharata, not by himself.
Yes.
Kailashji is a real Sutradhar.
Yes, Sutradhar. That's right. He's the Sutradhar.
I was only thinking of Sutra, which went to the heaven along with the flower. If you remember, sir, there is a saying in Kannada, Huvin joteg naro swargak hoitu. It's like that.
The background is beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Kaul.
Really, bye.
It's a pleasure meeting
so
you.
So blessed to be among you all. And Brij, the blue is perfect.
Madam, I didn't catch your name.
Namaskar.
Amrit Namaskar.
Amritji Namaskar and बहुत Mubarak. Such a special day.
Professor Padaki, it is Dr. Kaul, sir. Dr. Suchitra Kaul.
I saw the name just now because of my eyesight. I went down and see the small. Hari madam.
Hi, Indu. So, should we mute ourselves?
Hello, ji. Namaskar, Indu. Thank you.
Namaskar.
Thank you for joining today.
Thank you. आप लोगों का बहुत हार्दिक आभार कि इतना खूबसूरत और इतना सुंदर जो कार्य हुआ है उसको आप लोग इस तरह से आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं, तो अपने आप में अमेजिंग है, क्या कहा जाए, बहुत सुंदर.
नमस्ते मैडम.
और जो ब्रिज ने किया है वो तो बहुत ही कमाल है, और भी कमाल.
तो सब गुरु की कृपा है ना.
हाँ, बस वो गुरु की कृपा के बिना तो कुछ नहीं होता. बिल्कुल सही कहा आपने.
जी हार्दिक अभिनंदन, बधाइयाँ.
ओह किशोर जी, आप भी थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर ज्वाइनिंग. आप लोग तो सब भाई बहुत एक्सपर्ट हैं. आपके सामने तो हमें कुछ बोलते हुए भी नर्वस होते हैं हम.
नहीं. आपने बुलाया और हम नहीं आए, ऐसा तो हो ही नहीं सकता है.
वेरी सो काइंड ऑफ यू. So kind of you.
ढेर सारी बधाइयाँ.
Thank you.
एक और किताब आपके नाम पर.
Kishore ji, Professor Padaki and Kailash ji, I want to tell you, Kishore ji helped me to edit my earlier book, The Rebirth.
Oh my God.
So he himself is a, great exponent of Hindi, ghazal writer and poet. And
Pleasure
And
to
5
meet you all. I
scholarship as
said, I
well.
don't know. I must have done some great punya in my Purva Jarma to be amongst all the luminaries here.
Oh, Kailash
Great
ji, you are,
devotees.
this,
I
this,
just cannot thank my stars enough.
We are
we
all
have
part
to
of
learn
that
something.
luminous energy. We are all part of that luminous energy.
That's right.
Namaste, sir. Namaste. Namaste.
It's 6:30 now. We can
Yeah.
Yes.
start.
Yeah, you can.
Hari Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Good evening, everyone, to this August gathering of the launch of the translation of the Science of Bhagavad Gita by Srimati Brij Chopra ji in Hindi. The original book was written by Swami Virajeshwara. That's been translated by Srimati Brij Chopra ji in Hindi. Welcome you all to this August occasion. Now I invite Kumari Adya to please sing a song of invocation, please.
Namaste. Namaste all. Hari Om.
Is there another laptop near you? Is that unmuted? Is there another connection, Adya?
Yeah. There is another connection.
Sir, if you can mute yourself, sir, or I can
Yes,
mute
I
you.
will mute myself.
Sir, thank you.
1 minute. I don't know how I should do it.
Or I can do it, sir,
You can do it.
if you don't mind me doing it. 1 second. I will mute you, sir.
You will.
Adya, go ahead, Mari, unmute yourself.
She's on mute. Mr. Kailash,
Yes, sir.
she's on mute. So
Yes. Adya, unmute yourself, please, Mari.
Hari Om.
Yes. Hari Om.
Namaste. Sari ga pa ni sa sa ni pa ga ri sa sa ri ga pa ni sa sa ni pa ga ri sa Mahaganapate Nimahima Mahaganapate Nimahima Mahaganapate Nimahima Mahaganapate Nimahima పొగడ నాదరమా మహాగణపతి గుహదాస పాద సేవక గుహదాస పాద సేవక అడిగిన వరములిచ్చుటకిది సమయమైన మహాగణపతే చిరకాలముగని నామ సంకీర్తనము చేయు తలచి తలచి మీకిలి చిరకాలము
हाँ मम्मी हाँ हाँ अच्छा
अंजना म्यूट करिए अपने आप को
ప్రేమతో నిను వేడుకొని జున్న ప్రేమతో నిను వేడుకొని జున్న నా
That was wonderful. That was wonderful. Thank you so much for that. Beautifully sung. We have a list of luminaries this evening as we speak India time. Um, I would first call upon Professor Padaki ji to give a context about the book, the Guru, and the science of Bhagavad Gita itself before we launch the book. Padaki sir, please take the stage.
Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Namaste to all. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Mahasaraswatyai Namaha. Sadashivasamarambham Shri Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Namo Bhagavate Virajeshwaraya Hari Om. Today's very auspicious function of Lokarpana of the Hindi translation of our Pujya Gurudev's magnum opus, that is a science of Bhagavad Gita, is taking place by the grace of the Sadguru himself. Now, I have been asked to say a few words about our Pujya Gurudev, a very brief life history, his biography as recorded by himself in his autobiography, The Scientist's Search for Truth, and small other things, anecdotes. I don't know how much time I will be taking because I don't know what to talk. Only Gurudev will lead me to talk. If it is too lengthy, please pardon me. Before I start, I request all our esteemed Guru Bandhus, esteemed souls, what they call, please mute your sets. I'm not very good at this computer language. At the outset, fairly recently, when I talked to Sri Gopiji Maharaj of Rishikesh, Divine Life Society, of our Parameshti Guru, Swami Shivananda Maharaj. Gopiji Maharaj is the direct disciple of our Parama Guru, Sri Vidyananada Swami at Rishikesh. Gopiji Maharaj and our Pujya Gurudev, they were Guru Bhais. They were direct disciples of Swami Vidyananda at Rishikesh. When I broached the subject of the Hindi translation by Madam Brij Chopra to be released today, he was extremely happy. He has sent all his blessings, and he said, our Gurudev's blessings are always with all of you who are taking part in this function. Let Swami Vidyananda's grace be upon all of you, including Swami Shivananda. So that is his blessings. When I talked to Sri Yogatmananda Swamiji, who is at present at Haridwar, and I think he has already moved to Uttarakashi for his Chaturmasya celebration, he was also extremely pleased about today's function. He has blessed all of us. So with these blessings, I will commence. Before I start, once again, two things are there. Number one, I have to profusely, through the heart, I should thank Sri Kailas Simha, who is sitting at New Jersey, U.S.A., and he has provided this Zoom platform for all of us to take part. And without his cooperation and his Shraddha and his total spiritual attitude, this function would not take place. So at the outset, heartily, I congratulate, I really welcome Sri Kailas Simha ji for this function. And also I should thank one more gentleman without whom this work would not have been complete. That is Sri Pandurangan of Aridra Printers, Malleshwaram, Bangalore. Sri Pandurangan is a deep spiritually devoted person. he prints all the books from Ramana Ashram, Tiruvannamalai, and other saints, and also he has published all our Hamsa Ashrama publications written by our Gurudev. And in time, he has provided this beautiful Hindi book. Now, personally, he came to my house and handed over the copy for the release purpose. So I am grateful to Sri Pandurangan of Aridra Printers, Malleshwaram, Bangalore. Now, the pet point, which is in my heart, I have to speak about our Gurudev before I, in brief, I have to talk because there is no end. For the people who have first time heard the name Swami Virajeshwara, I have to say all these things. All our Guru Bandhus know, but still my bounden duty is that our Pujya, Reverend Swamiji, I call him as Gurudeva only. See, he was born and brought up in coastal Karnataka of India, west coast, in a small village near Udupi called Santur village. After early education there in the convent school, he came over to Bombay for his what they call the intermediate course, and then BSc and then MSc in physics. So after completing his MSc in physics, he left for New Jersey, U.S.A, to the Rutgers University campus to do his Ph.D. in the polymer physics. Somewhere in 1959, early 59, he left Bombay and joined the Rutgers University. Then, with his meticulous planning and work, being a very intelligent person, very intelligent, hardworking scientist, by 1963, he completed the PhD in the polymer physics. Along with that, he specialized. People may not be knowing much about him, which he has told me personally. He was well proficient in biochemistry, genetics, animal physiology, and organic chemistry, and etc., etc. During the tenure of his PhD program, not less than 30 research papers he has published in the international journals of physics, and he has also traveled all over America and Canada and parts of Europe to present his papers in the international science fora. Such a brilliant person. After 1963, for a short duration, he worked in the Kings County Hospital, New York, in the biochemical research wing as an associate. And he saw how the medical treatment is being given to the people there. And later he joined IBM, the headquarters at New York, as a top-level scientist, sometime by the end of 1963 or the beginning of 1964. Then his journey in IBM started. At that time, the third generation computer was being assembled at IBM headquarters, New York. He was in the R&D lab, which is more concerned with the development of the new generation computers. From 63, 64 onwards up to 1971, he was in a very top position, very brilliant scientist, totally hardworking, non-assuming, teetotaler. He was a bachelor from the beginning. So what happened afterwards? That is the interesting story, what he has written in his autobiography, Scientist Search for Truth. Suddenly, the call came from inside, the divine call. We are all fortunate for that. Otherwise, we would not have met our Gurudev at all in our lifetime. He thought no point in continuing in this materialistic life. He resigned the post and came down to India in search of his Guru. For nearly 6 months to 8 months to 10 months, he was searching for the Guru in India. Funnily, he met his Guru ultimately at Rishikesh, Divine Life Society, Shivananda Ashram. Swami Vidyananada Saraswati, our Parama Guru, became his Guru, and he was at his fold. Interesting, another point here, all of us should remember is, in spite of being at the lotus feet of his Guru, Swami Vidyananda, what happened? The prarabdha of our Gurudev again took back. He went back to America for next 1 year. He was in Miami, Philadelphia, searching for a job. Searching for a job. And then before that, he toured Russia and Europe and all the countries. And then he got a job in Miami, Florida. After getting a job, he took 1 day time to report for the duty. Then again, the thought came, what a foolish thing I have done. After meeting Swami Vidyananada, considering him as my guru, again I have come back to the same America for the new job. So he decided, the internal call became very, very, very firm, and his prarabdha at America was over, and he rushed back to Shivananda Ashram, fell at the feet of his guru, and then he started his sadhana. And then the guru was pleased. He said, now your prarabdha of touring is finished. I will teach you. I will take you as my student. So that is how our Gurudev's journey, spiritual journey, started towards perfection by the grace of Swami Vidyananda Saraswati, our Paramaguru, and he became realized a Brahmajnani, Atmajnana Sampanna, there at Rishikesh itself. After that, very interesting. He left Rishikesh later, somewhere after 1978-79, toured all over Himalayas, all the so-called Chardham Yatras, Gangotri, even up to, he went up to the Gomukh also, Tapovan, beyond the Gangotri, Badri, so many places. He came down and touring India up to the Rameshwaram, everything he toured, and ultimately he came down to Bangalore and settled in Banerghatta Road in the cave temple as an anonymous person, without expecting any publicity, fame or name or anybody falling at his feet. He appeared a very ordinary sannyasi. Now, I'm not going into the details of that. In 97-98, during that period, the crowd in Bangalore was so much, and he became dejected with the crowd. Then he wanted to move away from Bangalore to a very unknown, ordinary, nondescript village called Anasoni in Tamil Nadu, around 72 kilometers away from Bangalore, near Hosur. On the outskirts of the small village called Anasoni, he settled down in a small kutiram called Hamsa Ashram or Hamsa Kutira. And from 98 onwards, till his Mahasamadhi, he never moved out. His Mahasamadhi occurred in 2014 on May 31st evening. And very special mention I have to make here is the Hamsa Ashram or Hamsa Kutira, which was built for our Reverend Pujya Gurudev, built by the same couple who were totally dedicated fully at the lotus feet of our Gurudev, Sri Amrit Chopra and Srimati Brij Chopra. They are responsible for the building to come up so beautifully, so nicely in an area of around 9 acres land. This is one just a brief history I have to tell. Then the other part of it, very interesting. The science of Bhagavad Gita, Gurudev, our Pujya Gurudev, Swami Virajeshwara Saraswati, the first edition he wrote, that was in Rishikesh only. When he was there for 2-3 more years after realization or at the time of realization, he wrote the first edition, Science of Bhagavad Gita, in English. That actually published from Yoga Niketan, Rishikesh. I know the date also. On the October 21st, 1977, the first book was published at Rishikesh. Later, the same second edition of the Science of Bhagavad Gita happened in Bangalore in the year 2000. And I was present at that time. Gurudev gave me the personal copy of that. That is the second edition. In the year 2000. Later, again, the third enlarged edition came, where Gurudev told me that he has enlarged a certain explanation, description, because people didn't follow correctly. So he enlarged the edition, and the third edition came. And the third enlarged edition now is has been translated by Madam Brij Chopra. So this is one basic point. Now about Chopra Madam, I don't know much because I have seen Mr. and Mrs. Chopra occasionally at Hamsa Ashram and Sony. And we used to keep quiet and she used to keep quiet. We used to say hello, hello, that's all. I don't know much about her at all, except that she is brought up in the Devabhumi, Himachal Pradesh or Himalayas, valley of the Himalayas, from the childhood. And she graduated herself from Shimla. Then after graduation, she did her MBA from XLRI, Jamshedpur. After MBA, she joined the corporate world. For the next 20 years, 2 decades, she was moving in and out of the country, from India outside, and meantime got married to Sri, the great personality Amrit Chopra. And later now they are settled in Bangalore itself. So this is all I know about the madam. And she was kind enough to translate this for the benefit of the Hindi heartland people to know exactly what our Gurudev intended there. I will just quote immediately a few lines from the first edition, what Gurudev wrote in the preface about science of Bhagavad Gita, what he wrote, quote and unquote. Gurudev writes, although there are commentaries available in English language, they largely follow, in my opinion, the orthodox way of interpretation, which to the modern scientifically trained mind does not appeal. Many a modern man thinks that religious beliefs are unscientific and therefore unreliable. But Bhagavad Gita is not only scientific, but super scientific. The present book is the result of contemplation by one who was trained in the crafts of science and worked as a research scientist in several areas of science and technology, but being unable to find the truth in the material science, he turned towards the science of yoga and discovered himself the everlasting peace he was seeking. Here, an effort has been made to cover the basic practical aspects of different paths of yoga, which may help the reader to put the theory into practice and gain experience for himself. The book discusses the different philosophies like Sankhya Yoga and Vedanta, comprising both dualism, that is Dvaita Siddhanta, and monism, that is Advaita Siddhanta. And it explains the causes for bondage and suffering and shows the practical means for salvation through Ashtanga Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Karma Yoga. The emphasis, however, is on Karma Yoga, the essence of which is faith in God and unselfish devotion to duty, which annihilate all miseries of life and prepares one for salvation through the knowledge of Brahman. The last paragraph I'm reading, very important paragraph, what Gurudev writes. Each commentator on Bhagavad Gita views it with a background colored by the age in which he lives and the samskaras he brings with him. The present work cannot be an exception since it is colored with the modern scientific thought. So this is what briefly he mentions the preface of Bhagavad Gita. With all these things, now I am free to talk one or two words about our Gurudevs, his Kripa and grace, how we are all benefited. Guru Bandhus know it very well. Those who have seen, they know it so much that in fact it is our personal feeling that he is nothing but a walking and talking God incarnate himself. He is nothing but Sakshat Sri Ramachandra incarnated as a Sakara Murti. All the time he was giving the Mantropadesha to so many people as only the Ram Nam. Sri Rama Jai Rama Jai Jai Ram was a famous favorite mantra of our Gurudev. And interestingly, though he has forbidden, now I have to first time make a point very clearly with his permission only. in the Purvashrama earlier life, the Gurudev's name was Ramachandra Prabhu. That was the name of our Gurudev. And in reality, he is really a Ramachandra Prabhu for us. That is a speciality of our Gurudev. And Bhagavad Gita was in fingertips. Number of times he used to take short phrases while talking. And he used to hammer the point to me personally in Ekanta when for the last 25 years I have been associated. It is my good fortune. He used to guide and hammer the point in such a way so that I should understand. One or two small anecdotes I tell you, you will understand. Once he was telling me that what he has not written in Scientist Search for Truth autobiography. He was telling me that from Gangotri, the uncharted territory, he went up and up and up towards Tapovan. And I have not seen Gangotri itself. I can only imagine what Gangotri, that place. And from Tapovan also, little further, he went towards Gomukh. He told me all these things personally. Then he said he didn't give much details of that. And he said he stayed there in a natural cave where some sadhus also come and stay during their sadhana. And he stayed there for 2 or 3 months in one of the caves, empty caves, near Tapovan or slightly beyond Tapovan. Then, as usual, foolishly, look at the mind. I simply asked a question. Gurudeva, in such an unknown, forlorn place where there is no human habitation, where nothing is available, how did you sustain for your feeding purpose, at least, in that minus sub-zero temperature for 2 or 3 months? How did you manage about your feeding? Then Gurudev said, looking at me very intently, only one half sentence. Have you not read and learnt? Yogakshemam vahamyaham. That is all the phrases. Have you not read and learnt? Yogakshemam vahamyaham. So silently, smilingly, he uttered that sentence. It is as if blasting my head with a big sledgehammer. Suddenly, the switch, the brain, which was numb, switched on. Suddenly, I remembered, what is Gurudev hinting at? Why is he telling me that? Suddenly, I remembered, what an important Upadesha in Bhagavad Gita Lord has given to Arjuna. Ananyash chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Yogakshemam vahamyaham. And Gurudev referred that point to me. Then I understood the purport of the shloka very clearly, because I remember Gurudev used to always tell me personally 100 times, understanding in the real sense Bhagavad Gita is not possible for anyone unless they have Guru's Kripa or grace. Even to one shloka, to understand the purport, the insight, you need Guru. Otherwise, you will read, people will read. Intellectually, they think they have understood, but in reality, no. In reality, no. A lot of people talk about Bhagavad Gita, but they don't know. It is not simply reading. You have to live the Bhagavad Gita itself. So that one shloka, if I sincerely believe in God, if I offer myself and surrender totally, not even bothered about what happens next moment, what is going to happen next moment to my family or to my people or to me, where do I get my food, where is the money? even for a second, if I don't really bother and offer myself to at the feet of the Lord, it is his duty to look after. That is what Gurudev taught me by taking that shloka half. Like that, many number of times he has told. About life itself, he said what Bhagavad Gita teaches. He told me once, you should be like Padmapatra Vimambhasaha. That's all he said. You should be in life like Padmapatra Vimambhasaha. Padmapatram iva ambhasaha. Short phrase of the Bhagavad Gita. Lord says, how I should conduct in life? You are in the life, doing the duty, all your karmas, do sincerely. Gurudev's injunction. Do it sincerely, but don't get attached to your karmas. You keep yourself away from the karmas. Don't think you are the doer, but do it sincerely as if you are the doer. So, that is the example he gave, Padmapatram Ivambhasaha. And number of times he has also told me personally the short phrases of Bhagavad Gita. Yajnanam japa yajñosmi. He was very fond of that. What Lord says, Yajnanam japa yajñosmi. He used to say, in the present Kali Yuga, age of Kali, Bhakti Yoga is the easiest way where you can reach God. Majority of people cannot think of a self-inquiry. They cannot think of a Jnana Yoga or Sankhya Yoga for that matter. The easy way to reach God is Bhakti, devotion. So, constant repetition, japa, taking name of the Lord, doing japa, that will take you to the salvation. Yajnanam japa yajños. That's what Gurudev used to say. This is the highest form of yajna, japa yajna. And he used to say, japa means what? He hammered this point to me. Japa, repetition of Bhagavan's name means, ja means Janma Vichedaka. Pa means Papa Nashaka. So by constant repetition, japa, remembering and repeating the name, ultimately your mind is purified, divinity will set in, the grace will follow. That's what he said. And he was also fond of so many things like that, here and there. Once he told me that the last but one Upadesha, do you know what Lord has given to Arjuna in the 18th chapter? He asked me. I said, yes, Gurudeva. That is the 65th shloka, 18th chapter. That is last but one Upadesha Lord has given to Arjuna. I mean, to the whole mankind. Then he said, can you repeat the shloka once? With folded hands, I said, Gurudeva, I don't remember, I don't have photographic memory, but you have to help me if I go wrong. Then I tried to recollect and then said that, 65th shloka, 18th chapter. Then it appeared. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. I repeated and prostrated at the Guru's feet. Then he said, look the first word, take the first word, Manmana bhava. He explained that one word for more than 40 minutes. It all entered here. I can't reproduce for 40 minutes what he said about Manmana bhava. It is not simply surrender. You have to become he only, he said. He will become you only. That is exactly meant by Manmana. And I cannot talk on that anymore because I can only see our Gurudeva always standing, and people may think that he is just a body. But for me, he is nothing but Sakara Parabrahma Rupa incarnated in the human form for our benefit. The same Guru Tattva, which is Nirakara Tattva, has appeared as Sakara Tattva for our own benefit. The Lord Ishvara has taken that form of Guru and appeared before us, and he is there to lead us from the darkness towards the light. That is all I know. I cannot say anything more. Sorry if I have taken more time. So I will stop here. Om Namo Bhagavate Virajeshwara. Hari Om.
Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. That was, as usual, very mesmerizing, sir. And in my eagerness to have you on board, I committed a mistake in not giving your introduction. Professor Padaki ji is a professor, a scientist. He retired as principal of KLE Degree College. He is a devotee and an ardent disciple of Swami Virajeshwara. And I see him as an embodiment of Swami Virajeshwara because I have never had the grace of meeting Swamiji myself personally. But I can imagine how he must have been looking at Professor Padaki and other devotees here. It's an amazing introduction and segue into this, Professor Padaki. And if you don't mind me asking, I keep asking you the question over and over again, even during our private conversations, as to why should somebody read Bhagavad Gita in this day and age? For somebody like me who is immersed in the material world and who have a background in science, and somebody like you who has a background in science, why is Bhagavad Gita relevant in today's world?
You are asking me.
Yes, sir.
I don't know what answer I should give. I'm waiting. Madam Chopra is waiting, and Dr. Indu Jhunjunwala is waiting. So many others are waiting. But
Yes,
I'll cut short.
please.
Because I have taken enough time. Today you have to spare me from speaking, sir. Only two lines. Why Bhagavad Gita is relevant. Yes. Very important point our Gurudev was telling. You know, he was telling me that at the end of Dwapar Yuga, at the beginning of Kali Yuga, during the junction period, Mahabharata war appeared. And after 36 years of the Mahabharata war, Kali Yuga actually started off. As per our Indian Vedantic calculations and Panchanga astronomical calculations, we all believe that Kali Yuga started in the year 3102 BC, almost 5,000 over, 5,020 years over. Now, at that time, the Upadesha came to Arjuna in the sense that Lord really wanted the people at Kali Yuga should know ultimately what is this Upadesha. So keeping our human side in the present age of spiritual darkness, as it is called, Kali Yuga, age of Kali. So he has given the sermon for us actually, not just to Arjuna alone. That is a point our Gurudev was talking. And the relevance of Bhagavad Gita, why it is so important. Before that, Kailashji, one thing you might have observed, and all of us we have observed by the grace of Guru. Only in the last maybe 20, 30 years, precisely maybe 20 years, this renaissance towards, understanding Indian culture, Indian spirituality, Indian philosophy has, doubled and tripled in such a fast pace. Now, we think that there is a quantum leap in the consciousness. People are becoming more spiritually oriented, more and more, and they're more and more attracted towards our Indian philosophy. Hence, Bhagavad Gita, a vast repertory of all types of Upadesha for all types of human beings. See, it is not limited to one particular caste or creed or race or a religion. Bhagavad Gita is for the mankind. It is a beacon to the mankind. So there, you can follow the Upadesha given by Lord Krishna in the way you like it. See, there is Advaita format is there. There is Vishishtadvaita format is there. Dvaita format is there. All the three major darshanas of Indian philosophy can be interpreted. Sri Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya, 1200 years before, first he gave commentary on Bhagavad Gita from the Advaitic standpoint of pure Advaitic standpoint, Kevala Advaita standpoint of. Later, Sri Ramanujacharya, propounder of Vishishtadvaita, gave his interpretation from that Vishishtadvaita standpoint of. Still later, at 12th century, Sri Madhvacharya gave the Dvaita interpretation to Bhagavad Gita in his own way. After that, several people have written the commentaries on Bhagavad Gita, expositions on Bhagavad Gita. Right down the line, in the 13th century, during the end of 13th century, Jnaneshwar Maharaj from Maharashtra, he wrote the commentary on Bhagavad Gita, giving more importance to the path of devotion, Bhakti Yoga. That is called Jnaneshwari, a well-known treatise. It's a huge book followed even today in Maharashtra. In Marathi, he wrote. Later in the 14th century end and beginning of 15th century, Madhusudan Saraswati wrote a beautiful commentary on Bhagavad Gita called the Tattvartha Deepika. Extensively, he includes all the interpretations there. And later, of course, several people have written in all Indian languages, including Sanskritam. From Ramakrishna Math, so many people have written. Swami Gambhirananda, Swami Somanathananda, all the great stalwarts have written on Bhagavad Gita. And of course, still later you find Chinmaya Mission, Swami Chinmayananda has taken a lifelong ambitious project to spread the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita through Chinmaya Mission. Even Ramakrishna Mission, they are doing the same thing. Like that. Now it has been picked up by ISKCON people also. Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, founder of ISKCON in New York, he wrote Bhagavad Gita with the English language as Bhagavad Gita as it is. Lot of ISKCON people internationally, they follow that interpretation, what given by Swami Srila Prabhupada. Like that. Now the Bhagavad Gita has become famous in Russia. Bhagavad Gita has become famous in the Indian community settled in America, even in Canada, in the Europe, like in Germany, I am told, in Belgium, in Sweden, Bhagavad Gita is becoming popular. In fact, in Russia, people are now clamoring to understand what is this Indian book called Bhagavad Gita. So much why that attraction? Because Bhagavad Gita teaches universality. It is not confined to one religion. It is not confined to the teachings of a one prophet who founded various religions. It is a universal teaching meant for the entire mankind. See, there is Karma Yoga, most important, little understood. There is Bhakti Yoga, path of devotion, path of karma, and Jnana Yoga, path of self-inquiry to reach God. So, by self-inquiry, going into the nature of Atman, we can end up in reaching the Godhead, or by simply doing our duties selflessly, nishkama karma, still we can reach the God. Or by doing japa constantly, still we can reach the God. So, the bhakti, path of devotion, path of action, karma, and the path of jnana are all there in Bhagavad Gita. You can select whichever you can like according to your samskara and temperament and follow it up. That is the speciality of Bhagavad Gita. Beyond this, I am unable to say anything more.
Thank you, sir. That was illuminating. Now I call upon another luminary, Dr. Suchitra called Mishra, who is a co-traveler with Mrs. Brij Chopra on the spiritual path. Dr. Mishra is a co-community leader. She is a professional art therapist, and she's a founder of the Healing Garden, a tranquil space for holistic wellness, meditation, and total well-being. She has been engaged in community service in various areas for over a decade now. I would request her to please share her thoughts on this occasion. ma'am. Dr. Kaul, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Kailash ji. Pranams to revered Professor Padaki ji, sadhaks and friends. Some evenings can be very profound, and today is one such evening. But I want to take you to another evening when dark clouds were gathering in the Bangalore sky, casting long shadows, swirling closer and closer. And in the battlefield of self-doubt, Brij Bakshi Chopra stood, daunted, questioning, how can I do it? How can I even attempt a task of this magnitude? And it was indeed formidable, because this was no ordinary work. This was the greatest work of spiritual knowledge in the history of mankind. She called out to her guru, Swami Shri, to clear her dilemma. And from a hole in the clouds, there peeped a small ball of light, which grew and grew in size and shine. And the majestic sun spilled through the clouds, as warm and dazzling as Swami Shri's smile. And a silent command said, lift your pen and just do it. She bowed her head and began writing, her mind clear and her heart resolute in surrender. Friends, I happen to have the privilege to be one of the first with whom Brij shared her sankalp. But there was an added caveat. Suchitra, from now on, count me out of all social invitations and engagements. And this was announced a good 6 months before COVID. Brij had withdrawn from the world and she just plunged herself into the project. Learned Professor Ji, he has already told us about the higher wisdom that is there and that she's brought out in this translation. But I want to tell you the mind behind it. I've had the pleasure of deep conversations with Brij. And I know the extensive research she has put into each of the 700 shlokas. And then to translate the radical message of Swami Shri with his precise scientific language into Saral Hindi. Whether it was Newton's law of motion applied to human behavior, or the prana mental aura as the electromagnetic field, Brij has conveyed the original in letter and in spirit, fulfilling her dharma as the chosen channel of a scientist sage. Of course, the rishi birds visiting the window near her writing desk helped her from time to time. And while she was steeped in her yoga of karma and gyan, suddenly there was an upsurge of bhakti and I get a call. Suchitra, you know, I'm totally into writing Gita. I have very little time for anything else, but I think I can fit in 1 hour of Ramayana ka part every day. I want to finish Ramcharitmanas. And she calculated these many days. And I thought to myself, you know, Gita and Ramayana together, wow, this is truly epic. But because she was learning the science of Bhagavad Gita, she did both scientifically, simultaneously. Because when it comes to Brij, Hari Anant, Hari Katha Anant. With added blessings of Ramji, she continued her writing and she was ahead of her schedule. She had planned to take a break after 9 chapters and do the book in 2 parts. But when she reached chapter 9, she was unstoppable. While COVID was raging everywhere, she was blissfully immersed in the song of the divine. And she did not rest till she finished all 18 chapters. I'm sure you all are very keen to see this beautiful offering, an offering of Nishkam Karm in action. Now is the sacred moment we have all been waiting for. I request everyone online to please fold hands in prayer as we are going to unveil Bhagavad Gita ka Vigyan, translated by Mrs. Brij Bala Pakshi Chopra. And it's a blessing to have respected Professor Nagaraj Patkiji for this auspicious occasion. I request him and the esteemed panel to join Bridji in holding up the book to be unwrapped. Please, can we have you all holding it? Yes. This is the divine message in Hindi, scientifically tempered for the 21st century, as Krishna himself promised to re-establish in every millennium. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkratam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Here it is.
And here comes the Lord. Here comes the Lord.
Heartiest congratulations, dearest Bridji, and felicitations to the divine souls at Hamsa Ashram. With that unwrap, it's a wrap from me, Suchitra. Namaskar, and over to Kailashji again.
Congratulations, Brij.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Brij.
Congratulations, Brij.
Thank you.
बहुत बहुत बधाई हो ब्रिज जी आपको बहुत बहुत बधाई
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congrats, Bridge. I'm looking forward to getting the copy.
Thank you.
It's a long queue. We are all waiting.
All of us should buy a copy and gift copies of this to everybody we come across.
Yes.
There can be no greater gift than this.
Oh, everybody's gone off screen for me.
I can see everyone, Briji.
No, yes, now I can see you. Now I can see you.
Can I add one small point?
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Great job. बहुत
Thank
दिल लगा
you.
के काम किया आपने.
Thank you.
Can I add a small point, madam, here? Only one sentence.
Sir, please.
Yes, please.
Very important point for madam. Very important point. In the book, normally in the last page, we print where the book is available, either Hamsa Ashram or any other place. And we also print that it is available online, www.hamsashramam.org.
Yes.
Please check, because if it is not there, people may
We will
not
do
know that it is existing. They may not place the order to Mr. Chennai.
Yes.
Chennai has taken the responsibility.
I request Kailashji, if on the chat box you can just put Mr. Shinoy's name and his number where
Absolutely.
people can.
I will do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
I request everyone to mute themselves again, if you don't mind, please. Those who are not speaking actively, can you mute yourselves? Thank you. Now I call Dr. Indu Jhunjunwala, professor in Hindi, who has helped edit the Hindi edition of Bhagavad Gita ka Vigyan. She is a poet, she's an author, and is serving the Hindi literature through various national and international organizations of language, literature, and poetry that she heads. She has edited Tamil to Hindi translation of over 40 books on Jain religion. So I invite Dr. Indu Jhunjunwala to give a few words of wisdom today. Thank you.
You are on mute. Can you just unmute yourself? We cannot hear you.
Dr. Jhunjunwala, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Yes, yes, yes. Sorry.
No worries, no worries. Thank you.
सभी जो हमारे आज गुरु उपस्थित हैं, हमारे दोस्त, हमारी सहेलियां, और सबसे ज्यादा बधाई ब्रिज चोपड़ा जी को। इतनी मतलब इस किताब के लिए कुछ भी कहा जाए शायद वो बहुत बहुत कम होगा। तो सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा दुःख भाग् भवेत्। ये जो आज हम बैठे हैं ब्रिज के लिए, और ब्रिज के लिए नहीं बैठे हैं हम, श्रीमद् भागवत गीता के लिए। और श्रीमद् भागवत गीता, उसके लिए कुछ भी कहा जाए तो संपूर्ण जगत के लिए जो जीवन जीने की कला, सभी जाति और धर्म और देश से परे, लेकिन सभी जाति धर्म और देश के लिए सबसे फलदायी। और विश्व भर में इस पर अनेकों शोध ग्रंथ लिखे गए, भाषाओं में अनुवाद किया गया, इसकी महिमा गाएगी। और सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि आज अनेकों विश्वविद्यालय में इसे पढ़ाया भी जा रहा है, ये इसकी सबसे बड़ी महत्ता है। और ये मेरा सौभाग्य है कि मैं इतने सुंदरतम, जिसको कहे विश्व का सुंदरतम ग्रंथ जो है, उसको पढ़ने का ही नहीं, उसको समझने का, बहुत नजदीक से जानने का जो अवसर मिला, उसके लिए मैं ब्रिज चोपड़ा की ऋणी हूँ हमेशा के लिए। और आज मैं बाकी बातें, गुरु के बारे में कहना बहुत कम होता है, कितना भी कहें, तो मैं ब्रिज के लिए थोड़ी सी बातें आप लोगों के साथ जरूर शेयर करना चाहूंगी। क्योंकि जैसा कि अभी पादकी जी ने कहा, वो ब्रिज को कितना जानते हैं, तो मैं बताना चाहूंगी कि वास्तव में उन्होंने जो कहा बहुत सही था कि ब्रिज चोपड़ा हिमाचल की जिस गोद में पली बड़ी, और वहां सिर्फ पलना बढ़ना बड़ी बात नहीं थी, वहां की प्रकृति के साथ जिस तरह से ये एक लय हो पाई अपने बचपन में, वहां की गुफाएं, वहां की पहाड़ियां, वहां का सौंदर्य, और उन सबसे ज्यादा उन्हें जो आकर्षित करती थी वो थी वहां की किंवदंतियां ऋषियों और मुनियों की बचपन में। और उन किंवदंतियों को लेकर के उनके मन में एक भय, एक उत्सुकता और बहुत सारी जिज्ञासा थी। और वो जिज्ञासा भौतिक संसार से होते हुए कब एक बीज की तरह उस बालिका के हृदय में, जिसको कि हम आज ब्रिज चोपड़ा के नाम से जानते हैं, एक बीज जो था वो धीरे धीरे कैसे प्रस्फुटित हुआ। और बड़े चमत्कार की बात है कि पूरे विश्व का इन्होंने न जाने कितनी बार भ्रमण किया है, और कोई ऐसा भौतिक जो जिसकी कामना हम आज कर सकते हैं, उन चीजों से कभी वंचित रही हो, ऐसा भी नहीं हुआ। लेकिन वो अध्यात्म का जो बीज था ना, वो इन्हें कहां से कहां खींच करके लेता चला गया। और जाते जाते धीरे धीरे जैसे जैसे वो वृक्ष पल्लवित होता चला गया, तो इन्होंने उसमें जो इनके साथ जो सबसे बड़ी बात हुई वो ये थी कि वो एक इस मोड़ पर पहुंची कि उनका मन इस गूढ़ रहस्यों को जानने के लिए प्रेरित हो गया कि आखिर आत्मा क्या है, संसार क्या है, जीवन क्या है, और ढेर सारे प्रश्न जो इन्हें खींच कर ले गए योगानंद परमहंस द्वारा स्थापित सेल्फ रियलाइजेशन फेलोशिप के अध्ययन की ओर। 5 वर्षों तक इन्होंने उसका अध्ययन किया, और उसके बाद क्रिया योग की दीक्षा भी ली, और फिर शुरू हुए इनकी साधना के गंभीर वर्ष। सौभाग्य से ये मिली बेंगलोर में स्वामी विराजेश्वर हंस जी से, जिन गुरु की बात हम कर रहे हैं, तो गुरु से मिली ये। और बस बात वैसी ही हुई कि गुरु गोविंद दो खड़े काके लागू पाए, बलिहारी गुरु आपने जिन गोविंद दियो बताए। और ब्रिज को तो जैसे गोविंद मिल गए, गुरु ने बता दिया गोविंद को, और वो मार्ग प्रशस्त होता चला गया। और वो गुरु जो है इनके जीवन में ईश्वरीय वरदान के रूप में रहे, जो इनके दार्शनिक मित्र भी रहे और आध्यात्मिक निर्देशक भी। और उन्हीं की अनुमति से मैं बताऊं कि इन्होंने 2 और पुस्तकों का पहले ये अनुवाद कर चुकी हैं हिंदी में, जिसमें कि मेडिटेशन और रीबर्थ, 2 किताबों का इन्होंने अनुवाद ऑलरेडी पहले साधना एवं मेडिटेशन किया है। और उसके बाद अब जो पुस्तक हमारे हाथ में है लिखित, जो ये लिखित साइंस ऑफ भगवत गीता, ये चरम उत्कर्ष माना जा सकता है इनकी उन साधना का, जो जिसको कि ये मानती हैं गुरु की अतीव कृपा और देवीय सहायता। और वास्तव में उनके द्वारा अपने गुरु जी की अंग्रेजी में की गई भगवत गीता का अनुवाद इतना ज्यादा उपयोगी और इतनी सरलता से उसकी जो व्याख्या इन्होंने सरल व्याख्या की है, तो ये मेरा बड़ा सौभाग्य है जिसको कि मैं बता नहीं सकती हूँ कि इनका सानिध्य मुझे मिला, इस पुस्तक का सानिध्य मिला। और धीरे धीरे जैसे जैसे मैं करीब 1.5 सालों की इनकी ये मेहनत है ब्रिज जी की, और इस कार्य के लिए ब्रिज जी ने मुझे चुना ईश्वर की प्रेरणा से, तो मैं उस ईश्वर को भी शत शत नमन करती हूँ। ब्रिज के साथ साथ गुरु तो हमेशा सर पर हाथ रख के खड़े ही होते हैं, और 1.5 साल की इस उपक्रम में एक एक अध्याय को पढ़ना पंक्तिबद्ध, और ये एक अपने आप में एक मंगल अनुष्ठान मेरे लिए हो गया। और अंतिम पड़ाव पर जो अनिवर्चनीय आनंद मिला उसकी बात तो कह ही नहीं सकती, जबकि पूरी पुस्तक हाथ में थी और फिर से एक बार पहले अध्याय से अंतिम अध्याय तक उसको पढ़ना और समझना था। तो उसके बाद जिस आनंद की बात है वो तो उसके बारे में कहूं कि गुरु गूंगे की शर्करा वाली कहावत वहां पर बिल्कुल भी जाकर के जैसे कि फिट हो जाती है। तो अब अगर थोड़ा सा मैं ब्रिज की इस अनुवाद के बारे में बात करूं, तो अनुवाद करना किसी भी ग्रंथ लिखने से ज्यादा कठिन काम है, लेकिन अगर भावों के धरातल पर उतरे तो लेखक के मनोभावों को, उसके द्वारा प्रयुक्त शब्दों को पकड़ पाना, उसके भावों को पकड़ पाना और उसको शब्द दे पाना बहुत कठिन होता है। और वही बात जब दर्शन और अध्यात्म की हो तो मेरे लिए मुझे लगता है कि वो कठिनतम हो जाता है। और ब्रिज जी ने इस कठिनतम कार्य का बीड़ा उठाया, उनका बहुत बहुत साधुवाद। और उन्होंने बड़ी ही सहजता से उनकी लेखनी जो है उसको उकेरती चली गई, जो कि अपने आप में बेमिसाल है। इनके श्लोकों को अनायास समझ पाना आम व्यक्ति के लिए वास्तव में आकाश कुसुम के जैसा है, लेकिन ब्रिज जी की लेखनी इसमें पूरी तरह से सफल हुई है, ये कहने की जरूरत नहीं है। अगर जब आपके हाथ में वो बुक होगी तो आप समझेंगे, तो ये गुरु की और ईश्वर की कृपा के बिना वास्तव में संभव ही नहीं है कि वो सहजता से पाठकों को हृदयंगम करा सके। और इसके लिए आपका जितना अभिनंदन किया जाए उतना कम है। और मुझे तो आपकी हर अनुवादित हर पंक्ति आश्चर्यचकित कर देती थी। एक बार नहीं, जितनी बार पढ़ो उतनी बार एक नए अर्थ के सामने आ जाती है। और ये है गीता की उपयोगिता और आपकी लेखनी का चमत्कार, और उसके साथ आपकी भाषा, इतनी श्रेष्ठतम भाषा में आपने इसका अनुवाद किया है कि मैं जितना भी कहूँ उतना कम है। और मुझे विश्वास है कि आपके गुरु जी के द्वारा जो व्याख्या की गई है वो 100% हिंदी में उतरने के बाद भी हम तक पहुंचेगी, सब तक पहुंचेगी। और हम जीवन की हर कला में, इसकी जीवन की जो कला है इसके द्वारा सीखेंगे और पुष्पित पल्लवित होगी। एक दिन के लिए नहीं, जब कोई चीज पुस्तक के रूप में आती है ना, तो वो सदियों सदियों तक समृद्ध करती रहती है पूरे विश्व को, हर मानव को। और इसके साथ गुरु के बारे में कुछ कहूं, आपके गुरु के बारे में इतनी शक्ति मुझ में नहीं है। एक बार पुनः हृदय तल से गुरु को शत शत प्रणाम, आपका असीम अभिनंदन और ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। और मुझे ये अवसर मिलने के लिए एक बार फिर से ईश्वर का और आपका दोनों का भी जी।
Hari Om. That was so beautiful, Induji. Thank you so much for that. It reminded me of the time when you plant a seed, watch it grow, it flowers, and you get to enjoy the fruit and the flower from the plant as well. So that has been your journey. You've been involved from planting of the seed to picking the fruit. So and to enjoy the fruit also. So that's something phenomenal. When you said that, you got to edit it chapter by chapter, reread it, and you now have the book in your hand.
Yes.
It's simply amazing. Thank you so much for that, and for that introduction, and kind of succinctly putting your journey together. Now I call upon Srimati Brij Chopra ji, the author herself, who translated this book to give her view of the world from the other side.
Thank you, Kailash ji. I bow to Guru and to God. Om Vande Krishnam Jagat Gurum. Akhand Mandalakaram Vyaptam Yena Characharam Tadvadam Darshitam Tasmai Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. God, which is omnipresent, which pervades all, which permeates all, which is everything and everywhere, cannot be known, cannot be perceived, and let alone be realized without the grace and guidance of a guru. Even guidance alone will not make you see God, but his grace is important. So centuries ago, Kabir said, सात समंद की मसी करो, लेखनी सब बन राय, धरती सब कागज करो, गुरु गुण लिखा न जाए. If I were to turn the water of all the seven seas into ink, and wood in all the forest into the writing pen, the olden days writing pen which used to dip in the ink and write, and if I use the entire surface of this earth as my paper, even then that wouldn't be enough to write my Guru's glory. Why? He said, because bin Guru gyan na upje, bin Guru mile na mosh, bin Guru lakhe na satya ko, bin Guru jai na dosh. Guru ke bina, the real gyan, the real knowledge of your own self, of this world, of this prakriti, can never dawn upon you. You can spend time here, life after life, but you will never know the truth unless the grace of Guru is there. So there is no question of salvation without the Guru. Then, bin Guru lakhena satya ko. Satya, the truth, the reality, which is all around you for you to see. You will never be able to see unless Guru makes you see it. Guru bin jaina dosh. Dosh means the fault. Which fault will never go, will never be eradicated? In your own drishtikon, in your own view, in your own perceptions, in your own understanding. So that is Guru. So once again, I bow to Swami Virajeshwara Hamsa, whom I had the good fortune to meet in this life. I think that's the biggest uplabdhi of my life. With that, I think I would also like to bow to all the saints, acharyas, teachers, philosophers, and Mahatmas who are teaching this divine message of Lord Krishna, which can redeem people from the self-created afflictions of this world. It's so strange if somebody ever were to tell you, you will think this is magic. What are you saying? All my ills, all my afflictions in this world are of my own doing? No, but that's exactly what Gita says. So I bow to all of them who are teaching this message of the Lord to this suffering world today. So this evening, and the Hindi translation of Swamiji's Science of Bhagavad Gita is dedicated to him with gratitude, with all my humility. Now, what shall I, after, and before I say anything, I have to thank Professor Padaki ji. You enlightened me. That was like a Gita class for me. You know, you made me see so much in Gita, much more than I think I learned in last 1 year. And Suchitra and Indu ji, thank you so much. That was very encouraging. That gives me some courage to speak. Otherwise, I was thinking, this is enough of talk. Now launch is over. I think everything should be over. No need for me to talk. But, and Kailash ji, you are absolutely a blessed soul who has just taken the responsibility of mooting the idea to executing the idea. Thank you very much. And you are God sent help to all of us, to all the bhaktas of Swami Virajeshwara. So about writing this book, I have to share with you that when the thought first, actually, Swamiji gave me the permission to write the book. In fact, he gave me the encouragement that I should write the book in 2013, soon after I released my first book, Meditation and Sadhana. But it was like no, for me, I cannot write this book. I cannot write this book. And I did the second book. For 2014, Swamiji took Mahasamadhi. The book was lying there, Science of Bhagavad Gita. Every time I would step into my temple, the book will look at me accusingly as if. And I would just see and I ignore. I said, no, I can't take this book up. And then suddenly, one day I felt life is passing me by. If you don't do this, what else? What is more important for you in life? No, I want to learn Gita. You have been after Gyan. What is life? What is death? No, if you don't do this, what else are you going to do? Then I picked up the book and I started translating, first reading, translating, and I started enjoying. But then the doubt came to me, my God, such a thick book. Do I have that much time left in my life? So I called Professor Padaki ji one day. Professor Padaki, I have taken up this translation, but I think I want to do it in 2 parts. 9 chapters, part 1, 9 chapters, part 2. Because at least I'll have the motivation, I'll be able to finish something. I don't know whether I have that much time that I'll finish the... So he said something beautiful. He said, why do you worry? You are not going to do it. He's going to do it. So, and I got thinking, I said, which is so true. I'm not going to do it. A book like this, the very thought has been prompted to me by some divine force. So where am I going to? So I said, okay, fine. But even then I said, no, Professor Padaki, but the thought has come to me that also God has given me that do 9 pages. Maybe I don't have time. So then the COVID struck. I was ready with my 9 chapters, but the printing press became slow and everything. I said, no problem. I'll just go on doing. And here I am, all the 18 chapters, and the book is ready. So, like the Lord said to Arjuna, Nimit Matram Bhav Arjuna. For me, it is nothing else, but I'm just the Nimit. The divine, the God, the Guru himself have done the work. And with the speed that it progressed, I have no doubt that the book has been done by a divine force through my pen. And I look at the book, and when all of you are talking, I'm just wondering, I have done nothing. It's the divine force. You know, why are they telling me so much? I have done nothing. I really till today cannot believe, and believe you me, this was like sakshatkar of the words, Mukam karoti vachalam, langum pangum langite girim. When I look at it, I said, yes, it is. This is what those lines meant. So here I am with you to share what my experiences were. But when I started writing the book, it was like I'm sitting at the feet of the Guru and he is teaching me Gita. I'm in some ancient ashram learning Upanishad, the truths of Upanishad, the Bhagavad Gita, which gives you the gist, the digest of the highest Sarvoch knowledge. So here I was. So that means I had the prolonged satsang with my Guru. And sometimes, I would feel Lord himself is talking. So that was the reward enough for me. After that, I said, whether I finish it or I don't, I'm just enjoying it. And I'm just going. But the thing is, Swamiji's profound knowledge, which is only the privilege of a Brahmajnani. And I'm not talking of the worldly knowledge of Brahm Vidya. When he brings the Brahm Vidya and the scientific facts together for today's generation, that was sometimes I had to, and one shloka will go to 2 pages, 2.5 pages of explanation. I would read and reread and reread, and Indu would come to my rescue to get me the proper words. I will just put some words and go, then read. I said, no, this is reading jerky. So but I started enjoying so much that I never thought of any launch or any, when it will be over or this thing. I said, my reward is already there. That's it. And I don't want anything else. So this is how I wrote the book. Thoroughly enjoyed it. A reward in itself. It was like my sadhana, that prakriya of sadhana. The discipline, the concentration, the long hours. And my husband would tell me, my God, you're sitting for so long and all that. working so hard at this age. I said, but I'm not working hard. I cannot tell you I'm not working hard. No I have a back problem. I wouldn't know where is the back problem. I have eyes problem. I wouldn't know where the eyes problem. It just happened. So all of you, I have to share with you, Swami came down and through my pen wrote everything that is there. All the mistakes that I still did are mine, but it is some divine intervention that has just completed the book. Now, so about Swamiji's book. Swamiji's book has such profound knowledge because, like I said, only a self-realized yogi can have that Brahm Vidya that he had. So it is an ordinary commentary. Plus, he was a scientist. So he gives it a very, like Padaki ji said, unorthodox explanation to the whole thing. In fact, he shows parallel between the laws that operating in the material sciences and the laws that operating in this life, on every life. And he said, where are you searching God? The way he explains as if he was giving you his drishti. You know, he was trying to show you his perception of the world. And that was the most beautiful, that you never see the world that way. But when Swamiji is explaining, obviously he's giving his side of the perception. And it was like, oh, he's giving you glimpses of the Divya Drishti that the yogi sees the world with. So that was the most beautiful. And coming to, I'm just reminded of your question, Kailasji, that why should we read Gita? And Padaki explained very nicely, but there is a very relevant thing that Swamiji himself writes in his book. He says, each science and religion has its own place in the practical world. But at the philosophical end, they both converge at a point beyond which there is no path other than that shown by the Upanishads. So Gita is the digest of Upanishad. They contain the highest wisdom. But the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads teach the highest wisdom. The Bhagavad Gita teaches, in addition, the most practical ways of attaining that wisdom. So Bhagavad Gita is a Shastra of Brahm Vidya on the one hand, and Brahm Yog Vidya, how to attain that. And how to attain is nothing fixed. It is nothing rigid. If you are this level of a sadhak or is sadhak which is wanting moksha, for every level of sadhak, this is like a recipe book. There is a recipe for every level of sadhak, for every vritti of sadhak. This is what Bhagavad Gita is all about. You know, when Arjuna says, Namo namaste sahaskrits, punasya bhyopi namo namastu, pushta dat prishtate namo namaste, namo te sarvate sarva. He is so overwhelmed. He's scared when he sees the Vishwarupa. So Lord says, not even a yogi, not even a tapasvi, not a dani, not a jnani can see this roop, Arjuna. It is only a Shuddha Antakaran person like you who has surrendered to me can see this rupa. So for a bhakta, there is a path. For a Raj Yogi, there is a path. For a ordinary householder, there is karma. So for me, Gita is that one book that can carry you through your lives of anek janam samprap janam bandhan karam bandhan vidahine. That is what Gita can do. So this is what the Gita is. And now I will just say a few things about my association with Swamiji. Now, this is the fruit of my association with him that I could do this book. After listening to Padaki ji with such a learned man and so many jnanis over here that I feel, how did Guruji allow me to write this book? But he allowed me to do 3 books. So obviously, I think it was the fruit of my yearning of over years of my sadhana, and for me, I was just tormented by the mystery of life and death of this creation. In childhood, I used to wonder, how can people be happy in life when they don't even know when the death is going to strike them? And why are they here? Why are we here? But I had no guru, no such teacher around me whom to question this. So for years, I lived kind of at two levels, my life. My inner life was totally different, and my outer life was absolutely normal, like any other material person. I'm doing my karma, I'm doing everything. But that constant nagging, tormenting thought was always there. What is this life? What is this life? And coming to Swamiji and coming to Yoganandaji's lesson, that is the time it started unfolding. And you know what, I was like, that curiosity that got quenched, and that joy that started coming. And so this is, but Gita for me is my ultimate prize so far in life. Now coming to Swamiji, like Padaki says, he is so overwhelmed with him. I was very naive, I was very immature. In Hindi there is a very nice word, aparipakva. I was not mature to understand that what a blessing I am meeting a yogi, a Brahmajnani. So I just always took him like my friend, philosopher and guide. So once he was there, I was so happy. Okay, now there is somebody who can solve my problems in meditation, answer all my questions. So surprisingly, I used to visit very often. One day I'm sitting there, he's sitting quiet, I'm sitting quiet, and there is no need to talk. Still, I'm receiving so much. And there was a young boy, must be about, 20s or early 30s. He's also sitting quiet. And the sun was just going to set. And suddenly Swamiji looks up and he says, okay, let me tell you the soul's journey after death. And he related the entire soul's journey from various scriptures, our Hindu scriptures. And this is what happened. And we are both intently listening. Later, quite a few years later, he wrote that book, Rebirth, which again I had the good fortune to translate. So I think somewhere it was building up in me, those queries, and God was listening to that. And these answers had to come to me, and they all came to me through Swamiji. Now, I have to share with all my Guru Bandhus and even other people how I met Swamiji in 95 was by a chance visit like a tourist to that ancient cave where Swamiji was used to live. It's a very ancient cave, and some people say, oh, Valmiki ji used to live here and he wrote the Ramayana here, and there are a lot of stories. And it's a huge cave, but one corner, little dark corner, was a little altar. And outside that was a table where these books were lying there. A Scientist's Search for Truth, that is the first copy. And this had this little purple color, and written by Swami Virajeshwara. So the Pujari told me in Kannada something I did not understand. Then he gestured that the author lives here. And I just took the book. I said, okay, we'll read the book and then see. And once I finished the book, I just couldn't wait. And I still remember it was a Sunday. It was at 4 o'clock when we first met him. And he was just doing his Vishnu Sahasranama recitation, and last few shlokas were left. So he called us in. We just sat, he finished. And then he looked up. And of course, then I said that I've read the book and this, etc., etc. And that is how the beginning was there. And then forever, then Swamiji understood that perhaps she is a serious kind of a sadhak. So he relented. Otherwise, he was very, very aloof, tell me, like not very warm and welcoming. But when I just spoke to him and I told him that it's not just like the tourist interest that we have come to see you, it is something more than that. Then after that, we developed a very Guru Shishya, nice relationship. He was always very kind, always taking care. And then another thing that all my Guru Bhais would like to see, this is a old newspaper, Hindu, wrapped Bhagavad Gita, the first copy of what Padaki ji was mentioning in 77. This is what he gave me to read. If you can see, can you see this? Can this be seen? So, and then he said, okay, I have only one last copy left with me. It's my personal copy. You take it. I said, yeah, sure, Swamiji. And after reading, when I went to return, he said, no, you keep it. I think the seed of writing this Bhagavad Gita was sown then. I think it was sown then. And Swamiji was now, these are little anecdotes, but now when I look back and I have gained little more maturity, I realize, all sadhaks who are on this path must have some time or the other come, heard the concept, oh, this intellect is the biggest enemy, it has to be dropped. And I just did not understand when I first came across this concept. I said, intellect and it's an enemy. That's a blessing. If God gives you, without that, nobody can even read Vedas. Why should it be like a, hurdle in our spiritual path? Why should? It's only after meeting Swamiji, I realized that this sharp, keen intellect is given to you to understand the subtle truths around you, the subtle gyan. Once you have gained that, then it means nothing. So simple was he that he would come come down to our level and talk to us as if he's one ordinary person, having had such a brilliant mind. And then I wrote to him, now I have understood that this is what the function of a keen, sharp, subtle intellect is. Find God, find the reality. And so you have done so beautifully, Swamiji. So this is how and once I said, Swamiji, I want to just stay back in Bangalore for a month and just do my deep meditation and all that. But I'm very scared. I've heard that sometimes the negative entities, negative energies come around you and they bother you. And I'll be all alone staying here. So is it okay for me? And he was so forthright. He says, क्यों? कोई भी तंग आपको नहीं करेगा. भगवान का नाम स्मरण कर रहे हैं, भगवान के लिए कुछ काम कर रहे हैं, कोई आपको तंग नहीं करेगा, कोई आपके पास नहीं भटक सकता. He was like, so I stayed back for 1 month in Bangalore in my own house just to pursue that sadhana, because when the Guru is near, then it becomes so much easier, so much encouragement, and there is an energy that he gives you, without which you can struggle very hard, but you cannot progress. That is another thing. And one more thing that I found in his association, like Badgiji just said, he just said, haven't you heard? Yogakshemam Vahamyam, haven't you understood? He will just either give you a look or say something that would be like a searchlight into your own self. And you will just introspect. Oh, he means this. He lightens up the dark corners of your own inner self so that okay, still this vikar staying there, still that vikar is there. Otherwise, and that also I told him, I said, Swamiji, it is like Janma's dirt. Only Guru can point it out. Clean this also. Clean this also. This was, this was my experience with him. So that is what it is. And about a little bit, I would also like to talk about what Gita meant to me and what I learned from Gita. See, writing just one book, translating, I cannot claim to be a Jnani. I cannot, because this is such a profound knowledge. I'm a student and I still remain a student. While I was doing this Gita translation, I had the opportunity to attend 21 days of Gita discourse by a very noted Acharya from Banaras, who was teaching Gita for 40 years. And I wanted to just understand from all points of view. So I attended that. Soon after that, ISKCON course came my way, all from 1 to 18 chapter, and I did that because I wanted to understand that Gyan. So I still remain a student, but I would like to share with all the people here, my Guru Bandhus and all others who are attending, that as an ordinary sadhak, what I found in Gita very striking, this has just stayed in my mind. So just a few points that I would like to mention. And that is, those few points that have stuck, they can be life-changing. Because in Bhagavad Gita, each chapter can be a guru in itself. Because there's so many paths for so many levels of students and sadhaks, that just even a few mantras and sutras, if you can take from here, that can change your life. So what I will do, I will just say my observations at macro level, what it told me or what I could gather from it, and micro level some points. So at macro level, I will say Gita contains the Sarvoch Gyan. Sarv means the highest knowledge. In chapter 9, Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, he says, to you who are free of malice, means Shuddha Antakaran, I will tell you the most secret Vigyan Sahit Gyan. Vigyan Sahit Gyan. Now here Lord says, Gyan is the pure knowledge, the knowledge of the unmanifest, which is not possible for human mind to absorb. It only when it is mingled with little Prakriti becomes Vigyan, and it becomes material sciences. So you understand. But here I will give you Vigyan Sahit Gyan, the knowledge of unmanifest Brahma along with relative knowledge of manifest Brahma, knowing which you will be freed of the worldly bondage. Dukh Rupi Sansar Janam Maran Chakra. This at one chapter. In chapter 4 before that, and Lord keeps on repeating his lessons over and over. Sometimes the tenderness of Krishna while teaching Arjuna touches your heart so much, I had to put my pen down, feel so overwhelmed, just close my eyes and dwell. Chapter 4, he says, now Arjuna, I will give you the highest, the most secret, and the most well-guarded knowledge, knowing which there nothing remains to be known. That means in that Shuddha Gyan is inherent all the Gyan of Vedas, Upanishads and everything. So for me, that itself, and when Lord is saying that, that is the ultimate Gyan he's giving you. It's not only the Jivatma, but he tells you the Jivatma, Paramatma, and the creation, how it comes into being, how it just does the Vileen again is destroyed. That Gyan, I don't think there is any scripture that gives. And secondly, this is the first book where Lord himself declares that I take the avatar to re-establish dharma if it just goes down. We have heard of the avatars in various Puranas. He has taken so many avatars, this, that, but not the Lord himself declaring anywhere. That concept of avatar is for the first time mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. That itself is a very big thing. So this 3 times Lord repeats to Arjuna, the highest knowledge, knowing which nothing remains to be known. Then that knowing which you will be freed of your Janam Maran ka chakra. And then thirdly, he says, knowing which your mind will never become deluded. Because in this world, we are all deluded till we know the truth. Till we know the truth, we are all. So this is micro level 1. Sarvoch, this is the Sarvoch highest knowledge. Number 2, that this is eternal, imperishable, because the truth is imperishable. So this knowledge will be relevant and will be imperishable all the time. And secondly, it is given by a Vishisht Guru. You have Shrutis, you have Smritis, you have realized masters, everybody is giving you Gyan. But here is Krishna, Lord, the Creator himself comes down and gives you this Gyan. So even then, if you don't believe in, then I think we have many more births to just go in the mire of Agyan. So this the Vishisht Guru is giving. Now, like when he says, Yogananda Paramahansa has given a commentary on Gita, he says, God talks to Arjuna. And God sure does talk. Do you think in the Kurukshetra, God was talking to Arjuna these 18 chapters and Arjuna taking notes? It was all thought transfers from directly in the heart. Sarva Bhuta Nam Rit Deshe Arjuna Tishtati. He is there here. Can you hear me? Am I audible? Hello, am I on screen?
Yes,
Yes, Ji,
yes.
please,
Yes,
go ahead.
you are.
So, yeah. So he says, Sarva Bhutanam Ritu Deshe Arjuna Tishtati. So this Gyan to Arjuna was all through thought transfer in a jiffy. It was not that he was taking, one full day for this Gyan and then he picks up the thing. So this is the Vishisht Guru is giving you this Nirdesh, this and the practical guidance. Not only the Gyan, along with the Gyan, he gives him the practical guidance. Thirdly, the more important, with Brahm Vidya, he tells him the importance of bhakti and surrender. And bhakti and surrender is one theme that runs throughout this book. And then fourth macro level is his ashwasan. He assures Arjuna, Ananya Chinta Antumam Je Jana Pariupaste Tesham Nityabhiyuktanam Yog Kshemam Vahamyaham Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Raja Amam Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshishami Masuchaha. And then my personal most favorite, what Padaki ji also said, Man Manabhav Mad Bhakto Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru. That particular shloka has been repeated twice in Gita. Once in chapter 9 as the last shloka and once in the 18th. That means he is doubly giving that, but there is a little difference in the wordings. Am I on screen? Am I audible? Hello, am I audible?
Yes, Ji.
Yes,
We want you
yes.
to go on
Okay,
and on. It is so excellent and so mesmerizing. We are
So
just concentrating and listening to you. Please go on.
This my personal favorite, which this Man Manabhav in chapter 9, he tells Arjuna, Man Manabhav Man Bhakto Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru Mame Vashyasi Mat Atmana Mat Prayana. Even your Atma should be one with me. And like Padkiji said, Man Manabhav means your mind is so tuned with my mind that your mind become what I think you already know because you are one with my and come to my Sharan. But in the 9th chapter, in the 18th chapter, he says, Man Manabhav Mad Bhakto Madhyaji Mam Namaskuru Mame Vashyasi Satyam Te Pratijane Priyosime. Me. I am telling you the truth, Arjuna, because you are very dear to me. Now, who is dear to Lord? The one who is like Arjuna. Shuddha Antakaran, controlled mind, and fully surrendered. So, Lord is giving that assurance. If we still don't want to believe, then I don't know where else we will go for our learning and getting it. So these are my 4 observations, which I got very clearly at my macro level. So this bhakti, ashwasan, and sarvoch gyan and vishisht guru. But now at micro level, details, I will not go to details, but I'll just list the points that have just held my attention and stayed in my mind. The first one is, you want to live a happy life. You want to manage your life. You want to understand yourself, understand your mind. Manas, man. And he goes on to such detail of man that this is the instrument which will give you sukha, but it will give you dukha. And then he goes on discussing the prakriti of mind, the vikar of mind, and now what power the mind has on our life and our body. The first example is Arjuna himself. Arjuna, who is a very healthy, robust health, a brave warrior, ready to fight. He's the best archer, that is the fame that he has earned. And his his side of the army is just looking up to him, that he's the one who will lead us to victory. And he is the favorite. He's had love and attention of the guru, of all the elders. Here, now his mind plays a trick. And he says, Krishna, I'm just trembling. I can't hold the Gandiva. My mouth is just getting dry. My skin is burning. I'm sweating. And he is so convinced that his mind is right. You know, like an indulgent parent, we always give in to the tricks of the mind, because mind has endless arguments to convince that the mind is right. So he says, and he starts giving gyan to Krishna. Krishna, we know this is wrong, killing our elders, and why should we go and then burn in hell? No, this is what we are doing wrong. I am not going to fight. I'll beg, but I will not fight. I will take sannyas, but I will not fight. No, he says, I'm so overwhelmed with the pity and the karuna for everybody that I cannot fight. The Lord just smiles and laughs, and he says, what you call karuna, what you call pity is nothing but cowardice. It is kairta and it is unmanliness. What the hell you think you're doing? You're trying to be very smart that you are... Now this is another point, that when Arjuna says I'm filled with pity, that means till such time that we know the reality and the truth about ourselves, we will never know what is troubling our mind. Whether it is jealousy, or it is kairta, or it is envy, or it is pity. So we don't know these nuances. That's what Krishna tells him. He says, what? You are telling that this is pity, this is kairta. And who you think they will let you go like this? They will kill you right now, and they'll say, oh, just like a mouse, he ran away seeing us and he's killed. And then Krishna tells him, this is one. And secondly, the mind, how it will play trick. I will not detail on the rope and snake, very famous Vedanta example, that how you can start sweating and turning pale and your heart pounding, thinking it was a snake. But when the villager brings the lantern and shows it's a snake, then, oh my God, it was my mind. And another very interesting example is my personal experience. We went as a tourist to a place called the Well of Enlightenment, somewhere in the Far East. And the guide told us this place is called Well of Enlightenment. Why it is called Well of Enlightenment? Because there was a monk who was traveling all over in search of truth. So one evening, late evening, he arrived here. He was very tired. He was very thirsty. He said, there's a nice well. I'll drink some water and I'll lie down here. And next morning, I'll carry on my yatra. So what he does, he takes out some water. But then he says, oh my God, now how to drink? I don't have a glass. I don't have anything. Then suddenly he finds there's a piece of a broken pitcher lying there. In the dark, he saw that and he said, that will do for me. So he had 3-4 that little container that he made of that, full of water, and then slept very nicely at night. Morning, when the sun rises, he sees, oh my God, this was not a piece of broken pitcher. This is a human skull. And the monk just felt so sick, he just wanted to throw. As he felt sick and he wanted to throw, he said, hold on. It's all in your mind. You slept so nicely last night. And he got his enlightenment. So that was called the Well of... So that is the importance of how to understand your mind, how to manage it. Lord says, Arjuna, it can be your best of friend or it can be worst of your enemy. Take you to Patan or he will take you to the heights of moksha. So know your mind, manage your mind. And this is what, and he says, let the mind be your subordinate because it's a very powerful instrument. Don't be mind's subordinate because mind has been endowed with some of God's own qualities of creativity, of being present anywhere, anytime. Those are the qualities of that. But it has to be understood and managed. So that is one point that has come very loud and clear to me from Gita at the micro level. Second, listen, I can't see anybody on the screen. Am I on the screen? And
Yeah, you are.
audible?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Okay, because I couldn't see anybody.
You are in the
Second
center of the
point.
screen here.
Yeah, okay. So second point, very important, is the importance of Gyan, of the truth, the reality, for everybody to understand and to imbibe that Gyan. Now, because Lord says we are all deluded. Why? Because our only tool to have information is our indriyas, our senses, and they have their limitations. And they are a big factory. Man and indriya are a big factory of fake news. They will give you fake news all the time. And if you are not careful, you will jump up and down like a monkey because of that fake news, you see. So this is, and he says, Arjuna, Gyan has the power to burn all your sins, to destroy all your karam phal, whether good or bad, because they say you have to be through with all the good karmas also to be able to have the moksha and stop the birth and death cycle. So he says Gyan has that power to destroy your sins. And he says even if the greatest sinner comes and sits and learns, that Gyan will take him across. So in chapter 4, from 33 to 39, Lord is only giving importance of the Gyan. Then this is another very important point for me from Gita at the micro level. And like a sutra, one is man, second Gyan, thirdly, Nishkam Karma. In one shloka, Lord tells Arjuna that Nishkam Karam is the sustaining principle of this Prakriti. Everybody is doing karma. The trees, the air, the earth is nurturing the trees are nurturing the human beings, the animals, and back to the earth. So this is a mutually nurturing system. It's only man with his free will that he wants to beat the system and gets a beating as a result. So the Nishkam Karma, he says, Lord in one shloka says, better than Karam Kand, all the rituals, puja part is Gyan. Better than Gyan is Dhyan. And better than Dhyan is giving up the fruits of your action. When you give up the fruits of your action, that is the ultimate tyag, and that is the real sannyas. Sannyas is not only donning a robe, but that is the sannyas. So this is the third very important point that has, just stuck in my mind. Then another thing, which was, Gita Gyan is very profound, but very simple as well. Or Swamiji makes it simple. But there is a whole chapter which, being born into Sanatan Dharma, we have heard this right from childhood. Devik and Asuric Sampada. We are all born with either Devik qualities or Asuric qualities. Depending on those qualities those are our sanskars. Our behavior will be accordingly. So that is a beautiful chapter, and it tells you that the Devik qualities are the soul qualities. If you want a peaceful life and you have Asuric qualities, forget about it. Forget about it. You just cannot have that. So if one reads that chapter over and over, it'll make you introspect so much and see for yourself that where you stand. So that is another very, very important point for me. And then 3 gunas of Prakriti, that from the unmanifest, the pure soul, when it comes to take birth, it mingles with Prakriti. When it mingles with Prakriti, it goes into one of the 3 modes. Every object in this whole Brahman, in whole creation, whole universe, is regulated, influenced by these 3 gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. So the minute you are born, you will have either the rajas, tamas, or sattvic qualities, or a mixture of the two. dominating is rajas, but there are some sattvic qualities also. Sattvic is dominating. There is some tamas also. So these three qualities, and everything, right from food to the kind of dan you give, the kind of nishkam, even you think you are doing nishkam karma, but just think, what was your motive behind? Was it sattvic or was it rajasic? You just wanted to tell everybody, oh, I've done so much dan and all that. And you find people, they'll do little dan, but they'll talk to 10 people, I did the dan. What have others got to do it? But that's, so so Lord says, and for the people, the sadhaks who are trying for moksha or evolving themselves, they have to rise above these three gunas also. Even the sattvic, ultimately, like karuna, kshama, shilta and all that, even above, so at one place Swamiji writes, even karuna, too much karuna is also a weakness of the mind for a sannyasi and a yogi. He has to rise above it, because this whole drama is going on, the prakriti for millennium. It will go on like this. So what will one person, but that is when he reaches that state of yogi. Then the another at macro level, which I've also mentioned before also, that Gita has teachings for all levels of sadhaks. Those seeking moksha, it can lead to that. Those seeking happy, contented, harmonious life of a householder, it will lead, they have recipes for that. Tamasic, trying to raise his consciousness, is also there. And sinner trying to redeem himself, also through Gita it can be. So in the sense that each chapter can be a guru, that's what I say. But again, micro level as well as macro level, Shraddha, Bhakti and Drid Bhakti, that there is a whole chapter of Bhakti Yoga. Chapter 12 is all Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti, and he explains what is Bhakta, and it's not very easy to be a Bhakta. Sarva Bhute Hite Rata. You have no force, you have no apna, you have no paraya, so absolutely some drishti for everybody. And for the man, he always prescribes, Lord prescribes some drishti. Sukh, dukh, garam, thanda, man, apman, hani, love, sab mein sam raho, because they are all produced, they are temporary, because when the senses meet their objects, all this, either it is aversion or it is attraction. One thing will be this, you have to be, and you just watch, yes, one of my three gunas is acting, one of my this thing, let it pass, but don't be affected, don't let your behavior be affected. So this is this. And then also he says, it's like Bhaktiji said, it's not that you read Gita and you say, I know. No, abhyas, abhyas, abhyas. He says, Krishna says, whatever thoughts you're holding, at the last moments of your life, that what you will become in the next birth. He says, but if you haven't remembered God all your life, you can't remember God in your last moments. So abhyasa, abhyasa, abhyasa. So this is what, as a very ordinary sadhak, I have got the lessons from Gita. There is much more to learn. So with that, I bow again to all the divine souls who are here, and to my Gurudev, to God, to Professor Padaki ji, Suchitra, Indu, Kailas ji, and all my friends. I've seen so many. Thank you so much for your encouragement, and God bless you. Thank you, sir. Om Tat Sat. Om Tat Sat.
Hari Om. Hari Om Tat Sat. This was simply mesmerizing. Thank you so much, Ji. I know, with the blessings of Ma Saraswati, which is in you, you're also a good speaker, not only a good author. This was simply amazing. And coupled with that, my guru says a marker of a true sadhak is humility. So that is very important. That's what I see this evening, and everybody I come across, all luminaries. It's a galaxy of luminaries of sadhaks today, and I see humility in everybody. And you kind of summarized the essence of Bhagavad Gita so well, especially from the perspective of those who are wanting to know. Right? And I and you have had conversations, and there are various levels of Gyan that is given to a seeker in Bhagavad Gita, and also divided into three major segments, right? Bhakti, Karma, and Gnan itself. It's truly amazing, and one is now, if they are not already inspired or re-inspired to read Bhagavad Gita and the book by you. And I truly wish people pick up a copy of the book in Hindi and read in their own language and understand what Swami Virajeshwara kind of is trying to convey. And hopefully, we'll have many more Swami Virajeshwaras and Brahmajnanis walking on the blessed holy land of Bharat. I have a couple of questions that I wanted to ask you. One question stands out. What are the concepts or parts that you really struggled with most to avoid the lost in translation, if you will?
Yeah. That's a very pertinent and very good question. And I will begin with saying that Swamiji himself, in his preface of his Science of Gita, he says, even an ordinary literary work can never come close to the original. But for Bhagavad Gita, the charm, the grace, the pristine knowledge, one can never come close to it. That is one part Swamiji says. For me, additional, that is Swami, who's a Brahmajnani and writes this Bhagavad Gita, and a scientist, and I am not a science student. For me, it is doubly difficult. First of all, I don't guarantee that I haven't lost the whole thing. I don't. But the care that I have taken, I can just say this, that I have not dared to touch the text that he has written. I have not translated the gist, but verbatim, word to word. In fact, sometimes I would read the sentence, translate, reread it, and then put the structure to suit Hindi, like that. This was one care I've taken. And the very difficult part for me was whenever he explained very elaborately in scientific terms the various shlokas. So that took a lot of time, reading, rereading, and sometimes even consulting my husband, what does this mean? And then go, and then dictionary, and then I try, I get the gist, because he has related it to science very often. Many shlokas he has related. And one portion which was really difficult was the concept of yugas, that one night of Brahma is how many days, and one day of Brahma is how many years, and all that. So it was actually shloka based, not really chapter based, but shloka based. Yes, those the long ones and scientific explanations, those portions. But I don't guarantee that I haven't lost anything.
It's not only important for any spiritual book, especially spiritual book, but any book for that matter. It's very important not only to translate it word by word, letter by letter, but to actually gather the essence. And in spiritual books, if you have not walked the path, you would not be able to capture the essence effectively at all, and you may lose the soul. You may actually translate it verbatim, but then you may lose the soul. And I think we are blessed to have the blend of both in you, so that you are a sadhak yourself, and you are also writing this book, so you are able to capture that essence truly from such a Brahmajnani into action. So readers, I'm sure, will be doubly blessed by getting that in Hindi, especially reading it in the language that they can understand and truly relate to. Thank you so much for the work. I have one more question. So I wanted to ask you, what was the most surprising thing that you learned during this process? One thing that stood out for you.
In fact, it was really surprising even for me. Like, so far, I thought, like, I said that if you don't know the truth, you don't know your mind. I always thought, I'm after Gyan. I want to understand life, death. But at the end, one lesson that I came out with was bhakti, surrender, shraddha. Gita will give me that I never knew. I thought Gita, here I am, I will know Gita Sarvoch Gyan, but no. I came out with this one most surprising lesson for me, shraddha, bhakti, surrender. That's
awesome. That's awesome. I know we are almost at the top end of 2 hours. I want to ask you one more question. What was your personal journey like till you met Swami Virajeshwara, and how did you get into the path of spirituality, if you will? If you can give a glimpse of that for our
yes.
readers and followers.
I will just briefly say, Kailashji, and now I'm convinced that it has a lot to do with your samskars from the previous birth. And it is 70 to 80% sanskars and 30 to 20% of the environment around you in this life. Because like I had mentioned earlier also, the thought and the mystery of life and death tormented me right from my childhood. And I wanted to know. I wanted to know that why should I be happy? I don't even know. When I was born, I didn't know I'm a man or a woman. They said, you are a woman, go live like a woman. I started, what is this life? What is this drama going on? And believe you me, when so the most surprising thing is, how did I suppress this all this while? Not how did I develop, but how did I keep it suppressed for so long? And when I grew up, I took the spiritual path with just one aim, and perhaps all my co-bandhus will laugh. I wanted to meet God face to face. I just want to see God. What is all this drama? To understand from Him. So that is why the Lord's book has come to my hand. That was my and I used to when I used to meditate, I used to cry, and I'm talking of about good 20 years ago. God has not come to me even today. God has not. I did not understand that time that you don't have to see God, you have to know and perceive Him, and He's there everywhere. Today, I feel differently. So, that is the thing. So, it was the previous Janma Sanskara.
That's the travel of my journey, or people like me who want to see God at some point in time.
Yeah.
But thank you very much for beautifully putting the path down for us, and congratulations on this book. I pray upon the divine grace be upon all of us and those readers who have a copy of this book. May they be enlightened and illumined by the wisdom that is shared there. I thank you for this book again on behalf of everybody here. And Professor Padaki ji, I request you to close the ceremony, please, if you will.
Yeah, we want to hear him again.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
With your Ashirvachana, sir, please.
No. Ashirvachana only Mahatman, our Gurudev, can give. But anyway, closing ceremony. For that, I had to remind all our Guru Bandhus, esteemed viewers, again, I request Kailas Simhaji to put a sort of a big note from his computer. The books are available in Hamsa Ashram, correct, in Anusoni, but majority may not be able to come over there to purchase the books, number one. Number two, these books of our Gurudev are not available in the market bookstalls. He has long back forbidden that on a commercial basis. So somewhere in Bangalore, there is a Vedanta book house in Chamrajpet area. They are permitted by Gurudev to sell these books. Apart from that, throughout India, bookstores cannot sell the book because Gurudev has actually prohibited. So there is only one website maintained by Sri Prabhakar Shanai, a close, I would say, closest devotee of our Gurudev from Bangalore. He runs the website where online purchase can be done. The website name is www.hamsaashramam.com. .org. So if anybody can log into that Hamsa Ashramam.org, they will get all the details there, and they can purchase through that online system from Prabhakar Shanai these books. So I want Kailas Simhaji to make a note of that, put it in the.
I have shared it in the chat as well here, sir.
I don't know what.
Yes.
Also, Kailash ji, there is Mr. Shinoy who, his number, if you can give, he just couriers the books.
I have shared it in the chat as well, and I came to know about Swami Virajeshwara through the website, and I reached out to Sri Shanai ji as well through the website only, and rest is history, as they say.
Yes.
Yeah. So to conclude, can I proceed?
Yes, please.
Oh, Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Now, as everything has been nicely deciphered and explained by Madam Chopra ji, there is nothing to add on this. Today's wonderful experience, we joined in the journey. I call it as always a pilgrimage towards perfection, where our blessings of the Mahatmans and Brahmajnani like our Gurudev always there, like a beacon to the whole world. The one small point I would say is 2 points. Number one, our Gurudev used to mention very often to me, the highest Upadesha, not Upadesha, the promise by Lord Krishna to the mankind in Bhagavad Gita is, in one of the shlokas, last line, Charana, Lord Paramatma, Krishna Paramatma says, Name Bhaktaha Pranashyati. Gurudev used to repeat that to me. Name Bhaktaha Pranashyati. Look, in this Kali Yuga, age of darkness, Lord has promised, whoever is my Bhakta, whoever is my devotee and surrender to me, I will see that he is uplifted completely from this samsara as well as afterlife. That is one. Name Bhakta Pranashyati is the promise given by the Lord in Bhagavad Gita. The second point to conclude, the last point, I will draw your attention, all our Guru Bandhus, to go into the chapter 13, shloka number 25, wherein our Gurudev has written a beautiful explanation on that. I will not go into the details. I am telling you, chapter 13, shloka number 25. अन्ये tu evam ajanantah shrutva anyebhya upasate tepi cha ati tarantyeva mrutyum shruti parayanah. For that, Gurudev writes in the Science of Bhagavad Gita that even if anybody doesn't know what is Dhyana Yoga, doesn't know what is Jnana Yoga, even he doesn't know what is Karma Yoga in the real sense, it doesn't matter much. But if he is really devoted to his Guru, if he considers the Guru as Guru Paramatma himself, the Guru as a God incarnate himself, if he has got the Shraddha Bhakti towards the Guru, if he surrenders to the Guru, then Gurudev writes, if they follow the teachings of Brahmajnani or a sage, the sage may advise a japa, or the sage may advise to sing bhajans or kirtans or the glory of God, or the sage may tell to do puja, or the sage may tell to read Bhagavad Gita, so on and so forth. Then, finally the sage may also tell the seeker to do Guru Seva. If they are followed with faith and devotion, definitely such people also transcend death. They realize the self. That is the meaning of the shloka number 25, chapter number 13. Our Gurudev has made it so clear in simple English. So, actually, I don't know anything. To all of my Guru Bandhus, I bow my head. Bhagavad Gita is absolutely, it is beyond the perception of this mind and buddhi or intellect. So, I only believe in what the Gurudev says. Follow his verdict, follow his vachana, follow whatever he has shown sincerely, and then he is there to bestow the grace. That is what the promise is there from Lord in the 25th shloka. So with these things, I conclude myself again prostrating at the lotus feet of our Gurudev, and also prostrating to all of you, doing heartfelt namaskara to all the Guru Bandhus for today's wonderful function. It is, in fact, I never imagined that it is such a profound function. I know the Gurudev is there, he's smiling at us. He's smiling at us. He's pleased, highly pleased about today's function. Launching of the Hindi edition of Science of Bhagavad Gita in the name of Bhagavad Gita ka Vigyan. Let this enter into the Hindi heartland of Bharatvarsha, and throughout the world, people who know Hindi, let them be benefited. Thank you. Hari Om. Om Namo Bhagavate Virajeshwara.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.